Are we overlooking one of the best strategies, perhaps the best strategy for losing weight and keeping it off? I believe we are, so let's get to it. Hello everyone, I'm Tom, and today we're going to be covering part 2 of how intact plants help you lose weight. Last time I started discussing how your body handles intact plant foods differently than processed foods, and I promised that we'd find 12 ways that eating intact plants will lead to weight loss. That video covered what happens in your mouth and your stomach when you eat intact plants, and by the end of it, we had 4 ways to reduce calories in and 1 way to increase calories out, which means we have 7 ways intact plants help you lose weight left to discuss. So let's move on to the intestines to find out what they are. As usual, I invite you to like and subscribe if you'd like more information on how to lose weight and be healthy. So, after your food empties from your stomach, it travels to your small intestine, where it can be absorbed into your bloodstream. How quickly your food is absorbed into your bloodstream can have tremendous implications for your health and satiety. When you eat something that is absorbed into your bloodstream too quickly, your blood sugars will rise too high. This blood sugar spike will then cause your pancreas to release extra insulin. Then, all that extra insulin will actually cause your blood sugars to dip too low, even lower than if you hadn't eaten anything at all. This hypoglycemic response, more commonly known as having low blood sugar, can be responsible for feelings of hunger and subsequent overeating. That's what can happen if your food is absorbed too quickly, but that's not what happens when you're eating intact plants. When you eat intact plants, no matter how well you chew, many of the food particles will still be around 2 millimeters in size by the time they reach your small intestine. That sounds pretty small, but it can be about 100 times larger than a particle of flour. The larger particle size that remains after eating intact plants helps to explain why they produce a significantly lower glycemic response than processed foods. This basically means that intact plants are absorbed much more slowly than their processed counterparts. In other words, corn on the cob is absorbed more slowly than ground cornmeal. Steel-cut oats are absorbed more slowly than instant oatmeal, etc. Because intact plants are absorbed into your body much more slowly, they don't cause your blood sugars to spike as high, so your insulin response is within normal levels, which in turn prevents a blood sugar dip or low blood sugar. Avoiding low blood sugar is critical for curbing cravings and overeating. For that reason, intact plants, which are absorbed into your body slowly, make it much easier to avoid overeating. Since I mentioned the insulin response, I wanted to explore a common misconception about insulin. Much of recent diet trends have revolved around cutting out carbohydrates in order to reduce the insulin response to eating. Because insulin is commonly associated with high blood sugar, many people assume that carbohydrates are the only macronutrient that will cause insulin to be released, but that simply isn't true. Foods with no carbs at all have been shown to cause spikes to your insulin. Numerous studies have also demonstrated that adding animal products to carbs will exaggerate the insulin response even further. For example, you can get a big spike of insulin after eating white rice. After all, white rice is not an intact plant, but you will get an even bigger insulin spike after eating that same white rice with fish or egg whites. Insulin is the hormone that signals to your body to hold on to fat, so I can understand why people want to normalize their insulin response to food. However, if you want to keep your insulin levels in check, the best way to do it is by consuming intact plants, not processed food or even meat. This means that the best way to ensure that you're burning fat as fuel instead of holding onto it is by consuming intact plants to help regulate your insulin. After the small intestine comes the large intestine, but before we move on to the large intestine, we need to talk about the ileum, the very end of the small intestine, which connects directly to the large intestine. The ileum is able to sense if there's any food left unabsorbed at the end of your small intestine. If your ileum detects food, it will trigger a phenomenon known as the ileal brake, which helps to suppress your appetite, helping you to consume 100 to 200 fewer calories at your next meal. Remember though that the ileal brake is only going to help suppress your appetite if your ileum actually detects food particles. The problem with this is that much of the food that people consume is absorbed so quickly into their bloodstreams that none of it makes it all the way to the end of their small intestines. Intact plants, on the other hand, produce much larger food particles which are absorbed slowly enough that some of the food particles will never be absorbed at all, passing all the way to the large intestine, but not before activating the ileal brake and helping to curb our appetites. Taking advantage of your ileal brake is just another way that eating intact plants will make it much easier for you to consume fewer calories and lose weight without ever going hungry. After your small intestine is your large intestine, also commonly called your gut. For years, the best anyone knew about the large intestine was that it was where solid waste matter was kept. Since then, there have been changes in the capabilities of how scientists study the large intestine, and we have now learned that there's a whole lot more going on down there. More specifically, we have learned that there are trillions of bacteria living in our large intestine, and the healthier those trillions of gut bacteria are, the healthier we will be. The health of your gut bacteria can also help you lose weight and keep it off through a variety of mechanisms. So how do we help our gut bacteria to be healthy? We help them by consuming intrinsic fiber, found in intact plants. You've likely heard that fiber is good for you. A typical health article discussing the benefits of fiber might mention that it normalizes bowel movements, lowers cholesterol, helps control blood sugar, helps you live longer, and helps you achieve a healthy weight. However, while eating fiber is good, eating intrinsic fiber is better, especially for weight loss. So what's the difference between intrinsic fiber and just regular old fiber? Well, fiber could refer to any non-digestible carbohydrate. Fiber could be added to food, or it could be ground up, or it could be intact. Dietary fiber refers to fiber that occurs naturally in foods that you eat. Intrinsic fiber refers to naturally occurring fiber, which has not been ground up or blended, leaving the structure of the fiber intact. This means that intrinsic fiber is only found in intact plant foods. But why does it need to be structurally intact? This is a little bit of an oversimplification, but if you look at the parts of a plant, often what we call fiber is actually the cell wall of a plant cell. If the cell wall remains intact, then the entire cell is left inside it, and the cell has nutrients that don't just feed us, but those nutrients are what feed our good gut bacteria as well. Bacteria are living organisms, and they need food to live and grow. Our gut bacteria live in our gut, so what do they eat? They eat the same food we eat. What else could they eat? So, if you're eating food that is rapidly and completely absorbed in your small intestine, then there's nothing left for your good gut bacteria to eat. Maybe that's why fiber supplements never seem to help as much as eating fiber from real food. Our good gut bacteria don't just need fiber, but they need the nutrients that come packaged inside the fiber. This is the principal difference between intrinsic fiber and all other fiber. Intrinsic fiber actually has food in it. I want to say that again. It is so important. Intrinsic fiber, which is only found in intact plants, actually has food in it. If you take fiber supplements or eat whole wheat bread, the fiber makes it down to your large intestine, but it doesn't have any food in it. And that makes a huge difference to your good gut bacteria. I like to think of intrinsic fiber as a time-release capsule. In medicine, a time-release capsule is used when you want the drug inside of it to come out slowly over a long period of time. This is exactly what we want to happen to the nutrients in our food. And intrinsic fiber is what makes it happen. When the nutrients come out slowly, then they will be absorbed slowly in our small intestine, which helps prevent blood sugar spikes. But there's more than that. We actually want the nutrients to be absorbed so slowly that they aren't even all absorbed by the end of the small intestine. Remember, we want some food to reach all the way to the end of the small intestine, called the ileum, in order to activate the ileal brake and help us feel full. That's still not the end, though. We also want some of the nutrients to reach the large intestine, and intrinsic fiber is what can make those nutrients reach the large intestine to feed our good gut bugs. The bacteria in your large intestine can live a little bit off of just fiber alone, but they will only thrive if there was actual food for them to eat. If we want to have healthy gut bacteria, we need to actually feed them real food, and the only way to do that is to use intrinsic fiber as a sort of nutrient time release capsule, which will send nutrients all the way down to where our good gut bacteria can eat them. So, will having healthy gut bacteria actually help us to lose weight? The gut is very complex with all those trillions of bacteria, but it would seem that the answer is yes. First, There are several species of gut bacteria that appear to be protective against weight gain, and all of those species eat fiber. That means that if you want to cultivate the gut bugs that will help keep you from gaining weight, you need to be eating fiber, preferably intrinsic fiber, in order for them to survive and benefit you. But what do the good gut bacteria actually do? Well, good gut bacteria take the fiber and starch that makes it to our large intestines, and they produce what are called short-chain fatty acids. These short-chain fatty acids can have a huge impact on our health, including boosting our immune function and lowering inflammation, as well as improving mental health. Specific to weight loss, short-chain fatty acids can help you regulate your weight by boosting your resting metabolic rate, and more specifically, they improve your ability to burn fat. Short-chain fatty acids can also decrease your appetite. Study participants who ate 90 grams of fibers worth of short-chain fatty acids went on to consume about 200 fewer calories at their next meal. Basically, short-chain fatty acids can help you take in fewer calories as well as burn more calories out. Since we know that short-chain fatty acids can help us lose weight, now we need to know how we can make more short-chain fatty acids. Researchers at Deakin University in Australia wanted to know if the structure of plants would affect short-chain fatty acid production, so they designed a study to find out. Participants were fed intact grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, or the same foods ground up. When the participants were given intact plants, their short-chain fatty acid production doubled compared to their usual diets and was even 70% higher than when the participants ate the same foods ground up. So eating more fiber boosted short-chain fatty acid production a little, but eating intrinsic fiber from intact plants boosted short-chain fatty acid production a lot, because their good gut bugs had so much more to eat. In other words, the structure of the food made a bigger difference than the food itself. As I said, short-chain fatty acids have been shown to both suppress your appetite and help you burn more fat. So the more short-chain fatty acids your gut bugs make, the better. And how can you maximize the production of these fat-burning, appetite-suppressing short-chain fatty acids? By eating intact plants. There are some other ways that a healthy gut might help you lose weight. There's a hormone called fasting-induced adipose factor, which can help you switch to burning fat. Short-chain fatty acids can boost levels of fasting-induced adipose factor. So increased short-chain fatty acid production from eating intact plants would result in even more burning fat. Even just having a greater variety of bacteria in your gut, which can be achieved by eating a high-fiber diet, is associated with lower body fat and lower weight gain over time. There may even be more mechanisms through which a healthy gut will help you lose weight. There is still lots of ongoing research around this topic, so I'm sure we'll learn more in the future. So that leaves us with only one reason why intact plants help you lose weight. I actually already mentioned it, but it's something that is really easy to miss. I wanted to save it for the end because of all the mechanisms I've discussed in these videos. This one feels like it might be the most important of all. Remember, I made a big deal about how we needed to actually feed our good gut bacteria with food, real food. In order to get food down to your good gut bacteria in your large intestine, you need to eat food that will not be completely absorbed in your small intestine. Your small intestine is where you absorb the majority of your nutrients into your bloodstream, which means that most of the nutrients that make it past your small intestine are never absorbed. If you don't absorb your food, it can't make you gain weight. In one way, it's almost like you never ate those calories at all. In one study, eating raw, intact almonds resulted in the participants absorbing 30% fewer calories than when they ate those same almonds ground into almond butter. You just aren't going to absorb all of the calories from eating intact plants. Remember though, that those calories are not wasted. The calories that make it down to your large intestine are used as energy by your good gut bacteria, which then produce short-chain fatty acids. And those short-chain fatty acids offer us a whole host of benefits. So it's a good thing for us to sacrifice some of our calories to them. Better for them to get some excess calories and pump us full of short-chain fatty acids than for us to absorb all of the excess calories and store them as body fat. So if you've been eating mostly processed foods and you were to switch to eating intact plants, your body would likely start absorbing hundreds fewer of the calories you consume every day. Do you think that might cause you to lose some weight? Because I certainly do. And that's it. Now we have the 12 reasons why eating intact plants will help you lose weight. Like I said, intact plants are very difficult to overeat because they help you feel full on fewer calories, reducing your calories in, and they also increase the number of calories out. It's important to note that all of these mechanisms are either unique to intact plants or they simply work better for intact plants than any other food, whether we're talking about animal products or the same plants, blended or ground up. So, I wanted to show you the 12 ways that eating intact plants will help you lose weight, but you don't have to try to remember all 12. You don't need to remember any of them, really. You also don't need to count calories, you don't need to do any exercises you don't like, you never need to figure out how many carbs or fats is in your food, and you certainly never need to starve yourself. Truly, you do not need to eat less, move more, in order to try to lose weight. In order to lose weight, you only need to remember 3 simple words. Eat intact plants. I hope you found this helpful. If so, please like and subscribe. If you liked it or you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I'm a health coach and I specialize in helping people lose weight by adding more intact plants into their lives. If you want to lose weight, I can show you how to achieve dramatic weight loss in a healthy and sustainable way. Now, I talked a lot about how some calories from intact plants pass through your small intestine to get all the way to your large intestine. This is an important topic that I'll be covering in even more detail soon. To summarize, if calories pass through your small intestine and go to your large intestine, this one process enables you to lower your blood sugar, heal your gut, and lose weight, all at the same time. That's coming soon. Thank you, and always remember to eat intact plants.